Party wants to start at 9 p.m. because I know I'll be playing 2 extra hours after midnight with the Friday night raids.
So Cowboys now ranked 6, and Dinosaur is out of the top 10.
Damn.
I'm just happy Frank's not in the top 10.
Oh,
Frank's got the good con going. He's gonna win the tip jar and then springboard. There. Alright, so the fit real quick. This is a combat site rattle. So this is for Havens and Sanctums, we presume. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna start with a Rock Haven because it's the piece of content we know what to base things off of. I kind of wonder if I'm gonna run out of missiles, but we'll see. I should be able to run like 300 missiles per site. That's my theoretical.
How many missiles do you have?
Like 1,200.
All right.
I should be able to run 3 sites in that. We'll see how it goes. So the Rock Haven, it'll be mostly me checking how quickly we can clear it and compare that to the VNI clear time.
Right.
The Sanctum is just to see if there's any methodology issues we need to be aware of. I'm not worried about the incoming damage at all. But the real variable I perceive is going to be how our tank holds up on the first wave of a chem lab. But we're going to do one of each site today and talk about different rattlesnakes. So we got the riding rattle. Frank's in a DED rattle right now that he's been working on. We'll talk theoretical about class 5 and below rattlesnakes. In a 3, you would take a Gila. What would you take into a 4, Frank?
4, I'm assuming a rattle as well. Or
like it's all theoreticals. We haven't done it yet. But yeah. I mean, from like what you've heard or seen so far,
I would take a rattle because I don't think
I can see that. Yeah. Okay. Either double Gila or a single rattle for a 4.
Yeah.
And then a dread rattle is for. We were talking about this morning, where so you've got a dread, a Sancha dread on your combat site. You take the Myrmidon to clear the wave, and then you take the rattle in to clear the dread. But you want to test out to see if the double rattle for dreads can handle the wave plus the dread.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because if not, all right, with the Myrmidon clearing the site, is all well and fine. But to get the rattles back on the grid after that, let's say I clear the wave, you would then have to warp in with the rattle,
right?
Solo. I would have to warp out with the Myrmidon
and come back with it,
yeah, and then come back in the rattle, and that's like the Myrmidons.
I presume that a third account would have just tackled the dread, allowed the 2 main pilots to warp off and come back, but then. We're always trying to limit the number of accounts that we want to interact with, right?
Third account would make this probably a breeze.
Right.
Because then I can we could overtank the dread or overtank the rattles. I'm confident with the third account that I could put enough tank onto the rattle where we could just sit there and tank it. Because they would be like Spider Tinker, but we're trying to avoid that. A third rattle also makes the DPS, or a third account makes the DPS check way less relevant.
Right. But yeah, Lord Zuzu, we've been probably now 3 months-ish, and
4.
I don't think any solve holder out here has had, like, I don't say negative, but like no imposing, you know what I mean? Like there's never been like noticeable like, oh, you need to do this or this or that. Like nothing that we haven't resolved quickly. Like that one confused guy in the MTU.
Yeah. And the carrier ratting, that's the only rule that
I think I saw you saying that in Zarvok's chat yesterday, Zizzo. Maybe it was somebody else. I just remember the words personal crusade. Like, I remember thinking, like, what the hell does that mean? Let's see.
The only rule that CBA, enacts is when we got out here, there was no carrier ratting. And then there was that, trial.
We were here in Vexers ratting, and, just theoretically talking about carrier writing like, oh, it's too bad you can't do that. I hear like we didn't care because like we were so far away from it mattering, and now 100 days later and mini skill injectors, it's like, we wanted to do science.
For me, it's 90 days. Like,
it's not much, you know what I mean? Like theoretically, we could rat really hard.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine the amount of science we could do with double carrier?
Holy crap! I think we'd spend more time warping
than actually play.
I think it would.
I know, I didn't think you did, Lord Zizo. I just remember reading it and thinking, like, what does that even mean?
Nah, Frank, you just have him with a cloak so you can just Sino him around.
X Shadow of Death. So Lord Zizo, for like perspective, my awareness of nullsec politics could not be more minimal. Like, the only thing I know about nullsec is that in Provi, I can just fly in here and do within reason whatever I want. And then if I went to other null blocks, that would not be the case. My previous experience with nullsec, I was like, I had to stay in one system and never leave it and live inside of it, and that was my content. And then when we came to Provi, I assumed it was the same way, and then folks in Corp were like, nah, you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want within the region. Like, oh, we set sail,
We packed our bags. And
let's go adventure
out of here. Well, when we first got here, it wasn't summertime either. Like, it was really active.
Right.
Now, if we wanted to, I'm confident we can go back to our home system and rat, and be very low amounts of competition.
Hezfed, are you logged in right now? Can you tell me what's going on where you were ratting today and where I was earlier today? I'm looking for living room intel, first floor intel, and my home base intel, because like I want to do some rattle science. I also know I can't get off grid quickly with the rattle. Nobody's been reporting anything. Like, your system still reported hot a half hour ago. Mine still reported hot 15 minutes ago. Yours is clear? Okay. I don't know if they just logged off in home base or what, but oh well. Science is expensive. We lose a bill, we lose a bill.
1.8 bill.
Don't tell me that. Why am I ratting at 1.8 bill?
Oh, wait, no, you're in the rattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the rattle is under a bill.
This one?
Yeah.
I love it.
900 mil.
900 mil. The riding rattle. Whoops, that's not the button I wanted. Alright, back to the fit. Once I've undocked. So, resist spike up to 70% plus on both. 72, 77 respectively. Turn on all the mods. Everything is running. Bring the booster over here. So, obviously, I don't usually active rat. If I can find a haven.
We're going to see how poorly this goes with you having to manage.
Hell with manual pilot. I got a manual rat. This is gonna be a chore.
I like how it's named Can't AFK in this.
Yep. Just to remind myself so I don't do it.
We need constant reminders that we can't AFK rat and rat.
So, yes, that's also true. What? Oh, why no third rig? Bandwidth. But Mandel, mashing the 2-month button. Look at the fit. Double check calibration. Yeah, calibration's all used up.
Calibration is maxed.
Now, when I see a CPU rig, Frank, I assume like I have a skill issue, but this was just like to make the fit work in general.
Nope, it's you are good on skills, fitting skills.
But Mandel, thank you very much for the 2 months in a row of support. Hey, oh my god, it's Crom and HK. How are you both doing today? Oh no, you're fine, Lord Zizo. I just didn't want you thinking I knew what certain things were, because I don't.
Yeah.
At all.
I cannot understate our ostrich syndrome.
I like that. If it isn't ratting, or way to spend our ratting isk. Zero awareness. Alright, I'll warp off this grid. There's a what is on here? Oh, VNI. That's what I like to see. Oh, Max is here in this VNI, Frank.
Nice. Maxient or whatever.
Gariah.
So
What's that?
Maxient
Yeah.
used to be in a Drake, and his alt was in Drake Navy. And it looks like he has come to his senses.
3-1.
Oh, TU Tech. All right. Lord Zizo. I know who that is. My spare rattle is actually there. And he's removed somewhat sometime.
Hey, Falcom. Oh, I'm on the Kim Lab by accident. I should have checked the site first. I might come back to it. I want to do the Rockhaven first. I want to get used to micromanaging the tank before I go. Oh, I also need sound.
What? There's sound in this game?
Some video games have sound in them.
Oh.
Not all of them, but some of them. The sky, the system you're in, you live where I used to live. TR. Yeah, TU Tech is not far away.
Yeah, it's one right on the street.
I was gonna say, that's on the street. Hey, Man Bear. Is there a syndrome lurking? Did I miss something? I see a Falcom. Hey, Busy Turtle. Oh, so Busy Turtle. Excellent question. So on the probe scanner, right click, warp to, and then immediately cancel your warp. And if you get a pop-up, it's a Rockhaven. If you don't get a pop-up, then it's a Kim Lab. That is an excellent question. Sometimes I get into the habit of narrating what I'm doing, and then I forget that some of the little steps that wouldn't be obvious. I'm glad you asked.
It's absolutely not.
No, Frank's in his DED fit right now. If you X up in ROM chat, Mandel, we can probably link it for you. All right, curators.
Oh yeah, Mandel's this up.
Curators, yes. I'm gonna dropping him to you. One of my drones messed up. I should repair that before I went anywhere. Make sure I have no bookmarks here. There. Missiles on this guy. Do save location. TU1. Alright, there we go. Whole wave. Curators. So this is way more macro or micro than I'm gonna be used to. Like, it wasn't just the repro I have to manage, but I also have to manage the drones and missiles and yeah.
So my suggestion is to target 2 battleships and the rest all small stuff.
Gotcha.
In fact, you can actually I would start with 1 battleship and 5 or 6 small stuff, wherever you're.
So there's 2 types of waves. There's waves where I can target the whole, I can lock the whole wave at once. And then there's waves where, you know, like we were saying, where I have to cherry pick like 1 or 2 battleships and then primarily on small stuff.
Because
yeah,
you hit. What's your max target? I don't know your target. 6?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would always lock up at least 1 battleship, and then I would lock up the rest of small stuff. Cowboys again. That's amazing.
Cowboys racking them up.
That might put him above Gorsey.
85. Bam. Let's see, Chubby, new question here. When assisting drone to a Gila, do the assisted drones get the bonus damage? Negative. Bonus drone damage is based off of your hull.
Yeah,
or
it's
the
local.
Yeah. But I can see like why a new player would ask that question.
Yeah. So the assist on drones only applies when people activate weapons.
Right.
So if we are running 2 VNIs, Rush and I, neither of us have guns, launchers, anything on our VNIs. We only have drones. The assist function will not work on drone to drone. You know, but if he assisted me while I was in the rattle, then whatever I'm shooting with the missiles, the drones will assist.
I was typing because you were talking, explaining something, and then as soon as I started typing, you were done.
Yep.
Wrecked,
Because
yeah.
I
I'll be
started
trying out
reading.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, because I started reading.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, Chubby, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. We'll do our best to help you.
so yeah, so the reason I said target one battleship is I don't think your missiles alone can kill a battleship by the time your curators drop like the frigates.
Right. So something else I was going to ask is, even when I have just battleships left to shoot at, and this will take some trial and effort, I guess, unless you have data points to make suggestions on, I wonder at what point do I transitions missiles off targets, or curators off targets, based on remaining HP? If that makes any sense?
Okay, so what I do in
Like I clear all the sub-battleship components of a wave. I have just battleships left, and then yeah, you were going to explain how you rotate your missile curator damage.
So in my DEDs, most of the battleships end up 40 to 50 clicks away, and I just keep track of how many missiles I fired at each battleship, and I know I can hit a max of 3 missiles per battleship if the curators are on it.
Okay, I was going to say, like, so first off, counting your missile volleys seems really beyond what I would do. Do you instead visually look at the remaining health on a battleship that has only had missiles on it, and that tells you where you are?
Yeah, so now I'm comfortable to where if I see it 50% in armor, I know that I can fire one more missile. But I also look at the missile cycle time to see if if the missile cycle time is almost done, that means the missile's on the way.
There's probably a better way to articulate this, because like, right now we're doing a lot of this science by feel. You know what I mean? Like, you eyeball the missile launcher, and you're like, I feel like another volley's gonna go off or not go off before the hole breaks. Also, the active tank. So I rarely run anything with an active repper.
Right.
Do you have a methodology or a protocol for when and how you toggle
I would wait until you get to 50%. Well, okay. As soon as you get to 80% shields, let's say 90% shields. I don't know how much the repper is gonna, like, how much percent of your shield one cycle of it is gonna give back.
Right.
So maybe when you get to 90% shields on the initial wave, just cycle it once to see how much it gives.
I got you.
If it puts you back to 100%, then let it go to 85% shield.
I got you.
And then I would say keep it on until you hit like 40 to 35% cap. If you're still like taking damage. 40 to 35 to 40% cap, because you do not want to drop below that 33% cap.
I'll have to. So I don't want to base it off ticks, but I am curious what my clear time is going to be, because I didn't note it when I started the site. I'm on wave 2. That's all I know. I think I'm on wave 2. Let's go over here. So, Mandel's got me thinking about something like... When I first started streaming EVE, this was years ago, the biggest challenge for me that I had to, like, get over or let go or whatever was almost, no matter what activity you're doing in EVE, you're gonna get an element of people who come in and they're kind of like, where the PvP at? You know, that's the only thing they'll say in chat. That's the only interaction you get with that individual. And they think because you're not doing PvP at the moment they come into the channel, that like you never do it, or you have some issue with it, or something along those lines. I like to record PvP sessions, personally, just because I dislike being on air for potentially blocks of hours, looking for a fight, only because I know my bandwidth for assessing fights is very low. Like, I don't know what to look for. I don't have the prior experience, and the only way to get that is to go out and do it more and more and more and learn. And I don't have the time bandwidth to just throw at it. throw missiles at this though. So, if someone else were trying to learn PvP, I would tell them, you know, develop a method of earning ISK, and then prepare to sink that ISK and time into learning how to PvP. And there's nothing wrong with that methodology. You just have to be, you know, aware of that's just the way it's going to be.
Right.
But starting out streaming EVE for a long time, like that was the only negative interaction I had with people coming into channel was
PvP.
the majority of people, you know, come in, just chill and ask questions and talk shop and bounce ideas back and forth, and that's great. That's always wonderful. But the only negativity I ever had come across early was just that aspect of it. And you know what? I don't think it's PvP was like the most common example, but in reality, it was pretty much any activity you're doing. You're gonna have a number of people or a portion of people come through that not want you to do something else, but like they were surfing for a channel doing X content and they didn't find it. And instead of just changing the channel to something else that was the content they were looking for, they felt the need to vocalize or share or, you know, try to ask for attention. Like, hey, I'm not happy. You're not doing what I want you to do at this particular moment. That kind of thing.
So ignoring all that, when are you gonna play Marvel Heroes?
Exactly. I get that. That's probably one of the more common ones nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, Rush, did you quit and uninstall Marvel Heroes? I'm like, yeah, I sure did.
Yes.
Yeah. Never playing it again. And that's one of the challenges, like, putting a lot of time. I'm really liking, Frank, this hopping on EVE for a couple hours in the midday. Well, midday our time. It's obviously more prime time for Europe. But I like this hopping on and doing some science, like, focused. All of its uptime, we're doing something very specific, and then hopping off, and then coming back on in the evening with whatever, you know, other game I'm going to play for the day.
Yeah.
It's like, I can stay on EVE all day long, but there's not as much, I can't talk the entire time.
And even
Or
I don't know, I should
it's
talk about-
completely dependent on chat.
Right.
Like, chat would have to be going non-stop, you know, all day for me to be able to do that. And then it wouldn't matter what I was doing on the screen, like, it wouldn't matter what I was writing or whatever. But, lock all these up. Oh, 5. 5 is the number, Frank. Jesus, I'm gonna cap myself out. I left my rep on. Like a
5
baddie.
is the number of what?
5 is the number, is the percentage per rep cycle.
Oh, okay.
I knew that like 3 minutes ago, and I've been holding on to it ever since, because I was in mid-ramble.
So...
I
Chubby,
gotta catch up with chat, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chubby asked about speed tanking, if you could explain.
Oh,
So,
man.
he knows that, like, you know, speed is the main thing, but how does that affect how, like, why does it reduce the damage you take?
Okay, so let's look at different weapon systems. In my mind, and then correct me if this is wrong, there's two types there's two methods that NPCs, and I guess even players, but let's focus with ratting for the sake of the conversation. There's two ways rats are going to apply damage to you. They're going to shoot a missile at you, or they're going to shoot you with some sort of projectile. And I'm lumping in lasers with projectiles, just in terms of they work, as far as I'm aware, under the same concept of tracking, right? So, if a rat is shooting at you, and you're moving very, very fast, and they're shooting at you with a turret, sorry, I'm trying to micro. The faster you're moving, the harder time they have time hitting you with projectile weapons. So those will be like, more often than not, 0 or hit. Like they can hit you or they cannot hit you. Now, you'll notice when damage ticks happen here, there's different types of hits. I presume in EVE, and someone in chat clarify this if this is a thing. It's not just hit and crits, but there's like varying degrees of hit and crit. Does that make sense, Frank?
Yeah.
Or, you know, pin, hit, graze, wreck, things like that. So there's a damage floor and a damage ceiling. So the better your transversal, meaning your speed in relation to the thing you're shooting at or being shot at by, that damage from projectiles gets reduced. For missiles do damage based on how fast they're moving in relation to you when they make impact, plus and minus a base damage value. So, the faster you're moving, the less damage you're going to take from missiles in the first place, and if you look at your fit screen, there's a sig radius down here under targeting. For example, on the Rattlesnake, I'm at 450 sig radius. Missiles don't have a hard time hitting me.
Missiles have a harder time hitting
Frigates. frigates and DEDs and cruisers. Less so as you ship up, but the faster you go and the more you move, the better place you're going to be.
The rough formula, and this is not, you can find the exact formula somewhere, is your signature radius plus your velocity. Because your signature radius is how much of the damage gets applied to you, how big your ship is, like pretty much how big your hitbox is, and how fast you're going. The missiles have an explosion radius, which is how big their explosion is when they hit, and they have an explosion velocity, which is how fast the explosion expands. So if you're going faster than the explosion velocity, then you think of if a missile hits you and it explodes, but you're already out of the way of the explosion, the explosion doesn't.
It's like
affect
splash damage. You're taking less splash damage.
Yeah.
If that equates for people who have played other games that have that sort of mechanic. Hey, Marmelson. Let's go there. You go there. Burn you off. Ooh. Okay. Microwing shield booster, Frank. Holy crap. I'm a little worried about. So I kind of capped myself out. This is my fault, but it does make me a little apprehensive about how the Chem Lab's gonna go.
Right. Well, yeah, Chubby. If you could lead, with missiles, obviously that would be better. But I don't think there's a mechanic in the game that allows you to control where the missiles go.
Like pinpoint their detonation point or something like that, or like lead. You can't lead with missiles, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Or I'm sorry. When I said right, I meant more like, is that what Chubby was asking by chance? I didn't get to read the comment yet. Oh, they say lead the target. Yeah. Yeah, you can't lead with missiles. To be fair, you can't lead with anything, but
yeah.
Like
you lock fire.
Conceptually, like I can imagine the concept of leading with turrets, or why a new player might think that you can, or just assume that you can.
Right. Now with guns and rats it doesn't really matter, because rats are always like, when speed tanking, you're going in a circle around them and they're chasing you. So it doesn't really affect. But if you're fighting a person, then you kind of want their transversal to be as close as zero as possible, and you want your transversal to them for them to be high. So like, I blew up my ship a few days ago because I was burning straight towards somebody who was not moving very fast. So he was kind of stationary, and I was burning towards him. So I had zero transversal to that person because I'm burning towards him and I'm not going any sideways motion. Whereas he's moving, kind of slow. So I had a little bit of transversal from him, and he blew me up pretty much before I got there.
Missile reload. I got a true Newton local in the carport. I was like, Back over here. There we go. Rep, we're going. So I have 4 battleships up. My tank's been in better places. But a lot of this has been like just from methodology improvements that need to happen. Like, I'm at 40% shields, so not like super trouble or anything. I'm still popping battleships, but the Newton local kind of threw me off, and using active modules in general.
What's your cap percentage at?
Oh Jesus, like sub 10.
You need to turn off your booster.
It's off now.
If you get below 30, then.
Oh, okay, you want to min max the peak passive recharge, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Zhao.
Is Kerbal multiplayer now? I didn't think it ever was, Mandel. I mean, it's been years since I looked at Kerbal. I've always watched Naku play Kerbal, but
Crafting Zhao was the best thing ever.
The speed up of science.
Yeah, like
the acceleration of science.
Oh, there's a mod. He says. Mandel says.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Many Kerbals would die. That is not wrong. All right, 22%. Let's let that rep a couple times. Come on, missiles. Already bookmarked them to you. Yes. All right, cool. So my ticks were interesting. Coming onto a cold site, Frank. My first tick was 24 mil.
Wow. All right.
Now, I mean, that could be a little bit of luck, you know, on a cold tick, but that's the majority of the site value, isn't it?
The first tick.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like the 24 mil in a tick is going to be the majority of the value.
Yeah, because the whole total site is 30 to 32 mil.
Is my cap completely just dead? Dead.
Yeah.
I left it on the repper. I'm gonna make the jump.
Oh, but your site's done.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you're screwed.
Modules are shutting down while I'm trying to warp out, and
Yeah, came in. Yeah, you can't warp off.
I've already warped off, but it was the on the cycle the hardeners were offlining, and like, I'm definitely not gonna make it to the station by any means. I just want to get off grid.
So you're gonna do? Are you gonna do a second Haven? Just now that you have better practice.
Probably, yeah, just to take what I learned from that one to figure things out. What is your thermal and resist? Oh, Marmelson 72, 77, respectively, for EM and then thermal. 72, 77. Oh, actually, no, okay, I didn't make the station. A tick. So, Cowboys, let me go to my wallet here. Every 20 minutes, the game will tick, and it'll pay you out bounties for the NPCs you've defeated. And if I put my wallet over this cursor, it'll show a list of things that are you know, incorporated in that tick. What were you saying, Frank?
You get further kills within that 20-minute window.
Yeah. I'm probably overusing the phrase snapshot, but it'll aggregate all the NPCs you took out in that time frame, that 20-minute window, and just pay you one time. That way the game doesn't have to constantly update wallet values.
Yeah, I really like that system.
So Zen, I'm trying out a different Rattlesnake to active rats, combat sites, and null. We're talking about in general. Frank is doing DEDs in Rattlesnake right now. And then we're theory crafting about C5, Class 5 Wormhole Rattlesnakes, and which will be a duo setup, right, Frank?
Yep.
And then we're also talking about a dread, how would I concept a dread rattle? So, combat sites now spawn NPC dreads on occasion, and
for those who don't know, dreadnoughts are big ass ships.
Yeah, that's shipping up pretty well beyond your battleship.
Big
so
ass ships.
We used to down them in about a half dozen cruisers, VNIs, or I'm sorry, Vexers, space Vexers. So I mean, they're manageable, but you have to put some effort into it. I kind of wonder if that was so remember that article on Reddit I linked up earlier? I think you said you saw it maybe before about the group PvE content.
Yeah.
Dreads certainly were at least like a step in that direction, I imagine. By intention, obviously not in what resulted.
Right.
Hey, no problem, Cowboys. Yeah, Zen, absolutely. Ask all the questions. I've got to dock up long enough to get my cap and shields back. Also, I've got 2 true newts in local. That's no fun. So I'm going to do a little research on them and see what's going on. I also haven't remembered to repair my drones in several days, so I'm going to do that as well. Why the Rattlesnake? So Zen, our ratting of combat sites, probably 95% of the time, is done in VNIs, Vexor Navy issue. This is strictly to just mess around with something else to get data points. In our experience, there is not a more efficient ratting ship for null-set combat sites than the VNI, if we're talking strictly about the terms of ISK on grid, ISK being earned per time unit, and skill points barrier for entry. Frank started this game roughly 100 days ago, and is now doing DEDs, 10 to 10s, and Rattlesnake. But all of that was solo was all that financed and built upon off of extra rating. Now Frank is an outlier. Like, he's been able to spend, would you say your average is like 8 to 10 a day?
Yeah.
Between 6 and 10? Because you have some slower days and some busier days.
Yeah, 6 to 10. 6 to 10. Well, 6 to 12.
Right.
If we're gonna go the low end, we gotta
right.
go the high end.
But the point being, as a relatively new player, we've from our perception gotten to a pretty advanced part of one narrow aspect of the game. And in my opinion, Eve has always been in terms of it's best to specialize, or Eve rewards you for specializing. So, which fit, Marbleson, are you looking for a fit for in ROM chat?
So, Zen, sorry to interrupt. Zen, are you talking about comparing one Rattlesnake to a Tengu plus an Ishtar? Because I don't know if you know this, but 2 ships is more than 1 ship.
2 is always larger than 1. Now, could Zen be suggesting that the Tengu Ishtar price? Well, it'd have to be higher than the Rattlesnake.
Yeah,
because the Rattlesnake's only is
I
barely.
believe he's talking about using a Tengu or a Ishtar, not both.
Or more than Tengu. Maybe. That could be it. Maybe one or the other. Yeah, so Zen, clarify for us. Are you wanting us to do a comparison of the Rattlesnake to a Tengu, or a Rattlesnake to the Ishtar, or a Rattlesnake to a Tengu Ishtar being on grid at the same time?
Need clarification. Tengu
thank
or
you,
Ishtar.
Hesfet.
It's gonna crush both. It's gonna slaughter the Ishtar. And it's going to...
Or Ishtar, okay, one or the other.
It's going to slightly...
So, let's approach this like this. So, let's take the Ishtar, because that's the simple one to explain. The Ishtar to a VNI has 0 damage differential. You gain no damage, nor clear time, on Rockhaven specifically, in an Ishtar over a VNI. The drone nav is not relevant to a Rockhaven, because the spawns are clumped up. Now, yesterday I was running the Ishtar and getting some science point or data points on Chem Labs and Sanctums, because the rats do spawn in a wider radius, and the extra tank on the Ishtar is handy. And the only reason I even started looking at it was because I now want to put multiple accounts into one system, or at least have the option to do so, I should say. And it's easier for me to keep one character on an Ishtar spinning on the Chem Lab and the Sanctum, and get the second account spinning on the Rockhaven, because the Rockhaven is a more simple piece of content, and this way I won't have to watch one local. I'm only worried about one little pocket in on the Intel channels and things like that. Watch Marco Polo just got to season 2. Beep, what do you think about it so far? Who's your favorite character if you have one? Now, Rattlesnake to Tengu, I can't talk about it all. I hope Frank can, because I know Frank's done a lot of research on it. I know nothing about the Tengu solo rating.
So, okay, one. He said, Zen, you said Rattle is much easier to cast than Tengu, or than either of them. That is not relevant to the question you asked. You asked, I'd like to hear more ticks per hour.
So another thing, though, is that... So, like, his statement is true. That's correct. However... Yes. I could be in a ship 10 times slower than a Rattlesnake and never get caught. Like, Frank and I have a very narrow view of nullsec. We've only been in Provi. We've only ever been in Providence. And in Providence, there's a tool... Oh, actually, I got the command for it. I forgot I even did that. Vintel. Now, we're not operating under the assumption that the Intel in Vintel is perfect. We know it isn't. I'm definitely spoiled today because I have Hesfet. Hesfet's in a choke point system near me that it is assuming Hesvet doesn't sneeze and pass out. There's no chance of Red sneaking up on me. Now, every time we undock a ship, we take an assumed risk that, you know,
It's gone.
yeah, this thing's dead, and my only goal is to get back into the black and then see how far into the green I can get before the ship is gone. But yeah, so
Currently,
we don't care about how quick a ship gets on and off grid, other than is it a hindrance at all from me getting from one site to the next? To, you know, obviously any downtime you have is hurting your ticks. That's our concern with getting off grid, is just getting to the next grid. It isn't
like
about
right now,
getting safe.
both mine and Rush's rattles are docked, so they are safe. Now, we are both about to hit the undock button, and that ship, as soon as we click that ship is gone. It's gone.
So when you say survivability, then are you thinking about the Ishtar's survivability compared to the VNI? Because the content that we do, the survivability tank is completely irrelevant. A Rockhaven cannot break a VNI with our methodology, and that's true
I can run any site, any combat anomaly in a VNI.
What weak character, like how many days in till a new bro can fly the VNI and do Rockhavens? 4 days?
A VNI to
Oh,
Rockhaven?
I'm sorry, you were answering a question in chat. Yeah. So new bro gets into a VNI, how many days in to be able to use the VNI effectively? I don't mean efficiently. I mean
weeks,
just
3 weeks.
2-3 weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why we were attracted to it, because it was a low SP entry.
Yep.
I'm gonna need a second because I've got like a million things in chat to catch up on. So if you can note whatever you've got to address. I have a favorite character in Marco Polo. I think the series is pretty good. Love history-based shows. Who's your favorite character? In season 1, I like the monk, 100 Eyes, and the Khan himself are two of my favorites. I'm trying to keep season 2 out of it so I don't spoil anything for you, Beep. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The Mongol dudes. Hey, No Trek. Hey, Owie. Good afternoon. And welcome back. I don't know if Owie's been lurking hard or been away, but glad to see Owie in chat. So you're flying the Rattlesnake for the variety of it. One part of it, yeah. So I also, most of my writing, Zen, is AFK writing. Like, I say AFK writing, we joke about it a lot. In reality, I usually have my screens up. I'll have one client up that's visible. My other screen is just Vintel. And I place the risk-reward factor that my intel is going to be solid enough that I don't care about 100 mil VNIs spinning unmonitored, but once every, 10-15 minutes to make sure I'm not getting yellow box frigs or things of that nature. And if the ship gets caught and blown up, I really don't care, because they're 100 mil fits. The Rattlesnake is merely an alternative, so variety, yes, but also, let's say I do want to sit down one day and actively rat to increase my ticks, or tick value. I want to explore and see, what options I have available to me. The Rattlesnake just leverages my drone skills, and I only had to train missiles to get, decent on that side of it. But yeah, I see Frank answered Hesvet's question. Oh, for base values also. Now, for VNI, we have near perfect skills. The only thing we can improve is Amar Specialization 5 for 2%, but 21 days just isn't attractive for it. I average 20 to 21 mil ticks in my VNI. Yeah, that's just to give a frame reference off of what Mandel was talking about. Which, if he's getting 20 to 24, yeah, I got 24 on my first tick. Like, I imagine as my missile skills improve, that'll just get more consistent.
The fact that that's your first tick, and that is going to be the worst tick, because you have to go through 3 frigate waves, whereas the latter ticks will be like an even split between frigate and non-frigate waves.
I see you and No Truck already talked about this, but yeah, it's a good point. You can clear all the content we're talking about in a base Vexter, and No Truck is absolutely correct. It just affects your clear time. It just your ticks per hour will go, or your tick value will go down, but you clear the site. You get the content completed. And yeah, you can definitely put a new bro in a VNI in 12 days. Which, yes, close to the 2-week mark. And the big challenge for the new bro is just getting their survivability, to a point where they can complete the site.
And drones 5.
That Drones 5 is the biggest new bro skill for drone leveraging. Like, Drones 5 is that a 7-day skill?
5 days?
7 to 10?
5 days.
5 to 10? Somewhere in that range?
I think it's 3 to 5.
I think you're right. I think it is a 5-day.
I think it's 5 days for the whole drones.
That could be it.
2 through 5.
We just noticed like this huge, like we made the accounts and then we're like, and here goes the waiting.
So yeah.
Jesus, I saw your message about the second DED. So you pulled 700 mil out of. Are you out of that system yet?
No, I.
Okay, I won't say it then. But in a questionable location, Frank has done 2 DEDs.
I have 3 reds. So I'm.
Hey, Rashad.
I cleared 750, 770 mil.
So there was an inherent. Let me back up to what I'm reading. Zen mentions that they're running Ishtar Tengu combo on one combat site, and for the longest time, Frank and I would mock the idea of like, why would you put two pilots on the same grid on a combat site? It makes no sense. Now here I am on a Rattlesnake, doing what I would have said a month ago was a bad idea. Clearing a Sanctum in 10 minutes would be nice.
Zen lad leave.
We also try to. So another reason for the AFK writing method that we leverage most of the time is that Frank and I both want to push as few buttons as possible. That's why drones are so attractive, and why we spend so much time trying to figure out drone interactions. Also, remind me, Frank, that I have a data point for weird things that drones do that I want to tell you about. Before I forget forever. But no trick makes a good point. Yeah, the thing I like about drones: no ammo management, no cost.
Yep.
Now you lose drones, and you need to replace drones, but I've spent way less ISK doing that than I would have, managing ammo and keeping up with things like that. Marmelson, if we started right now, about 3 months. See, Angel Sky, I haven't been out in Null for a while. Last time I used a Snake, it used to have 125 bandwidth, but back then there were ships that could make more per hour. But one thing for sure is that top of the food chain, it came to ratting. Skill was higher, missiles, shields, and so on. Yeah, that's true. Like so the shield skills we kind of had, and the drone skills obviously from the VNI method. Missiles is the only thing we had to dabble in. And we've just gotten to the point where I presume you're in the same boat, Frank. Your missiles have overtaken your drones.
Well, in the DED, no, because I run.
True.
I don't run the Take 2.
But if you were running a ratting rattle, then
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. See, I'm doing 600 with my curators and 720 with my missiles. Not even what, Frank? 2-3 weeks ago, that would have been flip flopped in ratio.
Yeah.
I was doing like 400 with my missiles, and but getting to the T2 launchers was the big uptick.
Yeah. Well, T2 ammo, the launchers.
So Mandel makes a good point, talking about the 3-bill Tengu. That, I think, is the part that Frank and I can never wrap our heads around. I can't imagine putting multi-bill on combat sites. DEDs, maybe. Combat sites, I couldn't see myself doing it. Not that other people shouldn't, not that, other people are doing bad ideas, but, whatever, but, I just can't imagine doing that part of it.
Like, carrier ratting, I can see dropping 2 bill as max, just because carrier. Like, you're not gonna fit up a carrier for less than like.
Holy crap! It's Hazarus. I haven't seen Hazarus in a good bit. How you doing, Hazarus? Oh, so also Zen.
He's gone.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Zen, whenever you do hear this, or anyone else who this is relevant for, we do upload these shorter Evecasts up to YouTube. You can get through it through the Twitter at Rushlock or on the Discord server in the Eve chat. I post them in there whenever I upload them, so another source of catch up if you need to.
So, one thing I do want to note is if you have a question regarding if like Zen asked earlier about ticks per hour, or ISK per hour. If you phrase the question in that you want the best ticks, ISK per hour, and you don't mention like survivability or anything, like that's you gotta, and then
like this rattle is pretty much like almost the equivalent of a glass cannon, right? Like it can just barely tank the content.
Yeah.
And we have full awareness that we would probably change things on a day-to-day use. we would probably change things to be a little lazier.
Yeah.
Because of
Like,
our
yeah.
playstyle or our personal preference and things like that. That's different than, like Frank was saying, like someone comes in asking for like, what's my maximum clear time or what's my best clear time that I can achieve? You know, this fit is the one we would use for that to answer that question. Hey, glad to hear it, Hazarus. Hey Rush, question: did you pre-order the new expansion for a while? I did, yeah, about a year ago, and that's when we got the 100 tokens and doing that. Owie Rush, I was up insanely late last night, 3 a.m. Central, and saw you streaming. What were you looking at? That was the Diddle KB7 gate. I was asleep, Owie. At that time, I'd gone to bed like an hour before that. I was testing to see if the stream could stay up overnight if I ever want to leave it running with something, and it did, surprisingly. And I woke up at downtime and just shut it all down. But I was hoping that that camera mode would give the people in the YF and Severance pockets a sneak preview of ships coming through. Whether or not any of them even know about it or ever saw it, I have no idea. I was curious if it was even an option in the future.
I posted it in Intel.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so like in the 7 hours I was away, like the page itself got like 350 views.
Wow.
Now, how much of that was like new faces versus people just like, what the hell is Rush doing? Like some crazy ass hour. There's no way for me to know the metric of, but.
So, yeah. So Zen was asking about ISK, Rattles versus Tengu and Ishtar. We could only talk about Sancha Space, in full knowledge.
Hey, drama.
That's where we live.
Has that, as far as you're aware, is the house clear? I ask only because my local's good and Ventel isn't showing me anything too scary. Yours is clear? Oh yeah, I see that in the report. I didn't know if you'd seen intel to give you any other data points. Or intel, I should say. I have undocked. I'm going back to, I guess, another rock site. I'll try. Go to 70 and cancel the warp. Alright, so this is a Rock Haven top one. I'm going to warp to 70 and hope that the other person isn't already there. I should probably talk to Max and local. Coordinate a little better. But done is done.
Yeah, if there's other people on Rock Haven, whenever I warp to a new one,
Oh my. Quantum Priest.
Man.
Let's see. Hold on, Slasher. Hey Rush, I was looking to run sites in a battle because I like drone boats. Or bonuses. What fit drones do you use to clear sites? Curators, and if you do Eve chat. If you X up in that chat there in game, I can link the fit for you, Slasher. Just say this is Slasher from Twitch chat if you want to. I can link it up there. I mean, otherwise the modules are all visible on the screen, but if you want like something you can save for later. Or you know what, if you're on mobile and you aren't logged into the game right now, you can ping us on Discord as well. We can post it to you later. Discord is our community voice and chat system. We have an Eve channel on there.
I will be uploading an osmium after we get some science done.
Yeah. So like one thing about we don't want to widely share this fit, not for like secret reasons, but more for we don't want to spread a fit until we've had the opportunity to get a lot of data points with it and test it out.
Yep.
Otherwise, 2 minutes later, someone's asking questions about, oh, I need to cut that warp. Whew, glad I stopped that one. And then we also get people coming back with a fit that we haven't fully tested out, and they'll be like, hey, these are the issues I ran into, and we're like, yeah,
we ran into those too.
We've been hitting them as well. And then we feel bad because you've spent all this ISK doing something, even though we've already told you, you probably shouldn't use this yet. But people get impatient. Let's see. Oh, we gotta do quantums. That's right. Let's get quantum. Hey, quantum, thank you very much for the 2 months in a row support. Greatly appreciated. Hope you're doing well today. Give away some tokens. Give timed 3-1 20 token giveaway. Thanks to Quantum. Resub. Alright, that's open. Good luck, everybody. Bulbous, why do you tank the Rattle active? It's a superior passive tanking ship. Frank, let's assess why we're doing active over passive.
Okay, so when you say superior passive tanking, it's a superior shield tanking fit. Whether or not you use active or passive is up to the choice.
Like the bonus of the Rattle hull applies to both methodologies.
Yeah, it has
But
nothing to
I
do with
presume that
passive
Bulbous
attack.
is working off of. Wait, I probably fucked up the name.
Yeah.
Who was that? But yeah, Bulbous. No, I got it right. Let's see. So I'd want Bulbous to not like defend, but like better present. Like why is the passive tank on this thing so much better than the active tank? And I'm going to assume, and until we hear otherwise, that they're thinking in terms of, we'll just slap a bunch of passive modules into your mids and you don't have to worry about the active tank at all. And previously, that's what we've done, because we like doing things as lazily as possible. But this particular fit is all about clear time. It's just to reduce the amount of time clearing the site. Does that make it the best? No. It's just about getting this one, narrow data point for answering this one question.
We're not just doing this.
Oh my god, someone hit a button. I gotta find a thing.
Doing it for a shitload of money.
Where'd this go? Hey, second max land on my VNI. To start your weekend, Rashad. Thank you very much, Rashad. That's very kind of you. As soon as I have any idea what's going on, we'll spam some buttons. Alright, I think I have everything under control here, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rashad, thank you very much for the support. That was very generous of you. Rashad, what are you doing this weekend? For those who are going to be around tomorrow, we're playing Starbound for a big block of time. So anyone who has interest in Starbound and wants to play together. RMK was even looking at getting a dedicated server to run tomorrow on. Oop, there we go.
All right, so you are immune to nuding. Nuding is not irrelevant.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the last thing I was thinking before I heard the sound notification. So yeah, these particular rats don't newt. They web. And if you get webbed on the VNI, thankfully on Rockhaven you can't. Like, they just can't catch you. But, whew, could you imagine, Frank? Coming back from 5 minutes AFK and finding your VNI webbed?
Huh.
It'd be worse than seeing, who? Who was that? Oh god, who's the... Not Cheech. Cheech?
Yeah.
Okay, it would be
Cheech
Cheech. Oh man.
is-
Okay, gotcha, Hesvet, thank you. I will check the names and watch for them. We haven't reported them yet, okay. Now you have. Yep, I gotcha. Gotcha. Alright, cool. Got the names. Thank you, Hesvet. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Stradiuses are Cheech and who? Who's the second one, Frank? I can't remember. I can never remember the person who runs with Cheech.
Why so serious, Andard?
Andar, there we go. That's the name I couldn't think of. I want the drones over here. I want the missiles over there. Said I want the drones over here. Drones. Drones. Alright. Also, I'm really bad, Frank. I'm not aligning out.
Oh, I don't care.
No, I was been
Enough
like,
anymore.
I'm catching myself like, I'm about to be on wave 2 and bad and dumb.
I just don't care enough to line out anymore.
Exactly, no trick. If I'm coming back to a pod. Look at Garaya winning things. Garaya needed to. He didn't need to catch up.
I was almost caught by Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what? We have another one to do. Give times 3-1. This one's a big one. Giveaway. Thanks to Rashad. I wonder if Rashad's even here. Bam. And
Hey, Ben.
you
Yeah, I
are.
guess.
Alright, now you're good.
Uriah.
Oh god, I gotta lock up these frigs. Man, my methodology is poop. We go drones. His battleship locked. So Hazard said something a moment ago I need to catch up on. I gotta scroll to catch it. Need to lock this battleship first. There we go. Let's see, where'd Hazard's comment go? With Cheech, and ever since he didn't scram my Abaddon Mark Trip Chat away. Hazard's, I like it. Alright, we gotta get these curators on these frigs. There we go. Who won't I on Ben Garai?
Me.
I just did.
No, one of these days.
Oh, I didn't see the first one. I got you now. I got you. Like this 1,000 tokens is gonna. That could be a deal breaker. His
Yep.
tokens reset tomorrow night.
Yep.
What the hell just happened?
Rashad just
great.
may have made
It'd
the
be great
winner
to go on the
decided,
weekend with another skill injector.
right? Eve and T with the host. Eve, NT. I wonder who is streaming today. But thank you very much for the host. I've been live for an hour-ish, yeah. So I wasn't quite sure who was on that channel today. As far as I'm aware, Eve and T is maintained by multiple broadcasters who all stream on that channel. But thank you very much for the host. Autobots rollouts. There you go. Sorry if I was slow on fitting it up or linking it up. Get the drones on the same target. Alright, so we've talked about the ratting rattlesnake right here is what we're using now. And so much of it comes down to this methodology.
So I want to talk about what Balbus said because we didn't go into actually answer his question. We just want to know why he asked that. Right?
About the
passive versus active.
right, passive active, yeah. He said something about a micro warp drive, I think, didn't he? You swap out
No, he said
tank as you need.
mobile depot. So, okay, so Albus, in the scope of what we're doing, we are only worried about ratting. We are not worried about PvP fits. We're not worried about doing multiple jumps. Nothing matters.
Like we couldn't be more narrow focused on a particular activity.
Yeah. So all these external factors that other people are concerned about, or that we ourselves are concerned about at other points in time.
Like, it's not saying that you'll never, PvP in a rattlesnake. It's just that. Let's see, I was gonna say that we won't be during our activity, but someone would think like, well, that's nice to think that, but you're eventually get landed on, and you're probably right. Someday it would happen, but the narrow window of opportunity. So all the effort that we don't make to actively play the game, all that effort goes to like being way more aware of our surroundings than people probably assume. Most because we joke about it so much. Like, Frank has literally gone grocery shopping while ratting. Hey Briggs, how are you doing today? Like Frank will spin VNIs and leave the house, and come back to kill mails. Like, it's not because he's not losing ships or afraid to lose ships. It's just the trade-off. Like, the VNI is so cheap to rat
The
with.
earnings of me, if I leave the house 10 times and I lose one ship, who cares?
Right,
Like,
it pays for itself. So
I've made way more than I've lost.
hey, glad to hear it, Briggs.
And when I fit up VNIs, I fit up. Well, I don't fit up VNIs anymore. I have like plenty of fitted up.
But when you were developing your bases,
Yep.
your staging points, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Has that?
Yeah, the things like that people are worried about are not necessarily things we don't concern ourselves with, but for the scope of science, because this is our science hour or whatever.
So this will get mentioned a lot, but like Balbus, I'm glad you mentioned it because a lot of people have the same misconception. Geckos only increase your sheet damage. So if you bring up your fit here, you look at our drone damage over here. I'm at 597. If I throw in geckos, I'll probably come out ahead. I'm wondering in my mind right now about specialization differentials, but the short version is it doesn't matter. Geckos only improve your sheet damage. They do not improve your applied damage. And the reason for that is different factions have different resists, both for what you're shooting at and what you're shooting with. So your drones and the things you're shooting at have interactions. Whoa, my booster's still on because I'm bad. So yeah, geckos are a bit misleading, is a short version I should go with. Now, the exceptions to this are sleepers and incursions, I believe.
Incursions. And maybe like some factions of
Maybe even
site?
drone NPCs, like drone space, maybe. I have no idea how drone combat sites work, or how they're resisted.
But
the overall point is, unless it's an omni-tanked target, it doesn't care about your geckos. Your geckos are going to mislead you every time. And Geckos are popular in PvP because they're omni damage, and so you don't have to worry about like trying to guess how your opponent's tanked. If that makes any sense.
Yep.
So they're very attractive in that setting as well. Hey, Jason, welcome back, Jason. I have not forgotten about your email. I've just been super busy and I've been very slow on correspondence, but I appreciate the contact. I have looked at the initial email you sent, and I will definitely reply as soon as possible.
So then Balbus goes to ask about heavy drones, which do more damage than curators. More DPS, but that travel time is huge.
Well, he also mentioned a drone nav computer earlier, which I assumed, now I see that he was going to mention the heavies. What I was missing, though, is what would we... like, our tank is already thin enough. You know, we've kind of trimmed all the fat off of it. I don't see in the mids... Oh, maybe swap out, like, the missile guidance or the OTL, maybe?
You'd have to switch out the OTL.
Yeah, the OTL is the one I can think of that would even consider it. And with that 30% travel time improvements, would it
30?
Would it make up the nav computers are 30%? Yeah, they're significant. They're pretty beastly. Would it be attractive enough to wait on the traders to go out and back in? Possibly. We don't know. Like this is 1.0 glass cannon
Also,
riding rattlesnake.
You're talking about heavies on the smaller targets. Because
So the curators clear the sub battleships better.
yeah, like they boom, dead.
Right. Like yeah, we can one shot sub battleships. Not every single time, not every single one, but frigs, desis, cruisers are deleted, and battle cruisers are sometimes deleted and usually two-shotted. That's our experience with those.
Yeah, so heavies, not only is their tracking gonna be worse on the smaller targets, the damage increase is 50 DPS on.
Oh,
on
okay,
these,
I got you. That's what I was curious about, was what the
on
difference was
the
going to be between.
battleships. Like,
Yeah.
the
The Ishtar. Do we know what the Ishtar gap is? I mean, we would never use curators on the Ishtar because we don't have to go back and get our drones, but...
No. The
I'm
Ishtar
curious what the
loses that DPS though.
Oh, that's right, because it has the 5% and 10% thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. See Mandel, and then we're waiting for frigs to get on it, and then we're waiting to pull in our drones. That's all travel time that...
I don't know. So, using that example, though, is completely contradictory to our earlier statement of, like, let's be honest, we're not worried about reds. Like...
Well, we are. Like...
But I mean, we're talking about, like, having to worry about drones coming back. Oh, did you mean just, like, from, like, normal sight running?
No,
or did you
what
mean from,
Mandel
like...
says about pulling in drones and dropping in lights.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yes, okay, now I got you. I'm sorry. I didn't see that comment. So, yes. Man, it'd be... So, we have to deal with the frigs first. Like, drones, if we were using heavies, or in this case, swapping out different flights of drones, yeah, that'd be kind of irritating. This also reminds me, I need to swap out my drone complement on the ship, Frank. I need to drop the other two curators.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, like, in the DEDs, I rotate, curator pairs for aggro.
So, 2 curators...
will come
2
out,
Praetor,
and I can replace them with, I have no idea
Hornets. ECM.
I already have those. And I have acolytes.
Curators, heavies, ECM, lights.
So just swap out the curators for heavies?
Yeah. Just whatever.
I'm trying to imagine the scenario where I care. There probably isn't one, but
If a battleship jumps on you.
maybe.
Or battle cruiser. PvP, battle cruiser.
A PvP threat.
Yep.
Use
hot
T1 or Navy cruise missiles. On this particular fit,
Two.
definitely not Navy. I'm
Nope,
using the
use
T2,
T2 Furies.
T2 Fury missiles.
So that's why there's 2 missile guidance computers with precision scripts, is to drop the explosion radius. To where
That's
they
to
can
increase the
apply.
applied damage, yeah.
I hear T2. Yeah. Tim, I just bought like 10,000 when I was up there.
Tim?
You only had 20,000 for sale when I was up there. I bought half your supply.
What do you use them for?
The T1 cruise missiles?
Yeah.
DD.
DD running?
Yep. I won't go to faction.
What's wrong with the
20
T2s for your DD?
I don't have stuff that drops my explosion radius. So the their explosion radius is like 400 and something with my skills,
Gotcha.
which is way higher than than the extinction radius of the battleships. I also use the missiles on battle cruisers, and the extinction radius is so much lower that the Furies can't do. So I say all that. Basically, the Furies do less damage
I got
by
you.
a significant margin.
No, it's good. It's good to have the short version of it because they do less, and then go into expounding why that's the
Yeah.
case.
I should have started out with the short version.
I got you.
Short version, too long, didn't listen. 'Cause is the Furies do less damage. The T2 missiles do less damage.
It's surprising. So, we've mentioned this before. I wonder if there was an environment or a previous game state where geckos did actually do more damage. You know what I mean? Like, or like you said before, like it's probably people just looking at sheet damage and nothing else.
So, Rattles used to have more bandwidth,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
and two, I think, did geckos always have 25 bandwidth usage?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. No, too long didn't read should always go at the beginning. Too long didn't read should always go at the beginning because that's the first thing you see. Like, you get the overarching.
The person
point.
who's going to benefit from it isn't going to make it to the end anyway.
Yeah.